I am so grateful. I can't believe I made this much money from one colouring book. In the past, I've been completely transparent sharing how much money I've made selling colouring books on Amazon. Now, a previous video I shared on this topic was looking at how much money I made through 20 AI generated colouring books. The overall figure at the end of that was maybe a little bit depressing for some. So I wanted to come back and show what's actually possible if you have a really successful colouring book. So first, a little bit of background. I launched this book back in August of this year, and all of the interior pages were made using AI. It was actually my 30th colouring book that I uploaded to Amazon KDP. And before that, I'd had mixed success. I did a video previously of my dinosaurs in space colouring book, showing kind of what's possible and that you can make money. But then I also had books that didn't sell a single copy, and then the majority are somewhere in between. But this was my first colouring book that completely took off. So looking at the sales, we launched in August, and you can see the gradual increase of sales. In August, we received just over 50 sales. In September, it was almost 200. And then in October, we had 300 sales from this one book. Now, that's really exciting. But now we're into November. People are now starting to think about gifts for Christmas, and then the sales really took off. So in November, we received 572 sales of this one single colouring book. And if you're out there thinking, oh, it's a cheap one, maybe people are just buying it because it's $3.99, it's actually more of a premium colouring book, and it's listed at $9.99. So you can see the sales here are pretty steady throughout the whole month. And what's amazing is that as we approach the end of November, the sales seem to be increasing even more. So what I'm hoping from the look of this graph is that moving into December, those sales will continue to increase, meaning that I might even get 700 or 800 sales in a single month. So selling over 500 books is pretty impressive in a month, right? But at the end of the day, what you're interested in is how much money I made. So in the month of November, from this one colouring book for adults, I made a whopping $955.16. At the beginning of the month, I was making between $10 and $25 per day. And towards the end of the month, that really shot up to a point where I'm making around $60 every single day. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Craig, yes, that amount of money is amazing, but how much of it is actually profit, and how much did you spend on ads to get that amount of income? So did I use advertising? Yes, but there's a huge caveat on that answer. And that is, in November, I spent $0 advertising this book. So that figure of $900+ is pure profit. However, what I did do is I spent around $300 in August and the beginning of September to launch the book using ads. I then reduced the bids on those and ended up turning them off. So I did spend some money on advertising, but in terms of the sales for November, all of those sales are completely organic. Now you might be wondering, why does this one book sell so well? I'm going to break down my thoughts on this. I've tried a lot of books in a lot of different niches. I've tried really niche down sub-niches where I might rank well, but I get very limited sales. And then I've also tried really competitive niches that are impossible to rank in. Now this was a very competitive niche, but it wasn't an extremely broad niche like colouring book for adults. It was a single niched down area that I managed to launch my book effectively within. And how I think I achieved that is I researched the best sellers in that niche, and then I tried to make something better. I made a better offering, I made a better cover, I was at a better price point. Everything that I did was to try and one up those best sellers that were appearing organically at the top of Amazon. I also think I owe a lot of this book's sales to the great cover design. Now, I make my own covers. I think I'm getting better and better with every single book I release. And so this was the 30th colouring book I've made, and it's probably the best cover to date. If you want help with your covers, whether you're writing fiction or making colouring books, click the link in the description below to go to my Fiverr page where I can make covers for you. And then going back to the book, finally, I launched it extremely successfully using my advertising strategy. I talked about this in my latest video. If you missed that one, click the link in the corner now. In that video, I went through how to launch a book effectively using ads to rank it for keywords. And this is a perfect example of what that can achieve. Now, what I always like to do when I have a success or a failure is to try and take some learnings from my experience. The 3 things that I learned from this successful colouring book were that quality is so much more important than quantity. I still see people out there pumping out 100 colouring books and getting a few trickling along sales, when one colouring book of a really high quality can generate $1,000 a month. So when you're creating your next book, always remember, is this better than the competition? If it's not, what can you do to help it stand out? Because that's what this book did, and I think that's why this book's performing so well. Next is the importance of book covers. When I go to Amazon and I do a search in the search bar, this book pops up and it stands out against the other covers. I see some YouTubers suggesting to copy what other people are doing so it fits within a genre. That's not what I did for this book cover. It stands out, and I think that's one of the reasons for the success of this book. So my suggestion would be to, yes, take inspiration from what's selling well, but do not copy what other people are doing. Be original, be bold, and try to create an eye-catching cover. And then my final thing that I learned is the importance of niche research. As I mentioned before, what I did was I looked at the best sellers within the genre, basically picked apart the price, the types of covers, how many colouring pages they had, what was in there. I even looked through the reviews to get tips and tricks for what could help my book to be better than the best sellers. So that shows the importance of niche research and doing a little bit of work up front before you make your book. Now, we looked at how much this book made in November, but since the launch 3.5 months ago, this book has received over 1,100 orders, earned me almost $1,900, and taken away the ad spend, this one single colouring book so far in 3.5 months has made me $1,585. Now, I think you'll all agree with me, that is absolutely amazing. And if I could create 10 books off the bat that makes this type of income, I would be sorted. Unfortunately, it's not that easy, and some books will be a failure, some books like this one will be a success. But what I've learned is to just keep on creating quality books with great covers, and then touch wood, eventually sales like this will come from 1 or 2 of them. Okay, so that's looking at my breakthrough AI colouring book. That's driving a ton of sales for me. But let's help each other out in the comments below. Have you had any breakthrough books like this that have gone on to achieve great success? If so, what have you done differently on that one book? Drop all of your tips and tricks below, and let's make the best books possible moving forward. I hope this video is helpful. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.